Billionaire Boy hires a female bodyguard, but falls in love. A drama-style emotional story. K-drama, C-drama tone. The rain hammered against the glass windows of Skycore Tower, the tallest building in the city, while inside, chaos unfolded. Security alarms blared, guards ran in panic, and the billionaire heir Han Ji-won, known to tabloids as Korea's golden boy, stood frozen. A masked intruder had slipped past every guard in the building. And that's when she appeared. A slim shadow moved through the dim corridor with silent but precise steps. Before the intruder could even aim his blade, she had already twisted his wrist, pinned him to the floor, and secured him in under 7 seconds. Ji-won could only stare. The woman looked nothing like the bulky, armored guards surrounding him. She was calm, composed, almost cold, like a blade forged in winter. Her name, he later learned, was Zhao Lian, a former Chinese Special Forces officer with a scar trailing faintly down the side of her jaw. And she was now his new personal bodyguard. A difficult beginning. Ji-won hated the idea. He wasn't used to being guarded, at least not like this. His whole life, people had obeyed him, spoiled him, hovered around him. But Lian, she did none of that. She didn't smile, didn't pretend, didn't flatter him. She treated him like a mission, not a master. She followed him everywhere, even into meetings. She watched every door, every shadow. She slept in the room next to his, refusing comfort, refusing friendship. And for a boy who grew up surrounded by fake affection, her distance felt like an insult. But Ji-won didn't know that Lian, behind her cold eyes, carried a hidden wound of her own. She had once failed to protect someone she loved, a little brother she couldn't save. Since then, she vowed to never grow attached again. Emotion, she believed, was a weakness. The accident that changed everything. 2 weeks into her job, Ji-won made a reckless decision. He slipped away from her during a charity event, annoyed by her constant shadowing, wanting a moment of freedom. But freedom turned into disaster when a speeding scooter, sent intentionally, came straight for him. He froze. Lian did not. She sprinted, shoved him hard out of the way, and took the full impact. The world slowed. Her body hit the pavement with a sickening thud, and Ji-won's heart stopped in his chest. Blood dripped down her temple, her breath shallow, her eyes threatening to close. "Why did you do that?" he whispered shakily. Her voice was barely audible. "Because it's my job." But Ji-won knew it was more than that. For the first time, he saw fear in her eyes, not of dying, but of failing again. And for the first time, something in him cracked open. He didn't leave her side at the hospital. Not for a minute. Breaking through her walls, recovery forced Lian to stay in Ji-won's penthouse under medical supervision. She hated the weakness, hated needing help. But Ji-won changed. He cooked for her, badly. He made her tea the way she liked, quiet, warm, jasmine. He noticed she read old Chinese poetry, so he ordered first edition books. He apologized for being careless. Slowly, carefully, softly, she thawed. One night on the rooftop, wrapped in blankets against the cold wind, Ji-won finally dared to ask what he had been afraid to. "Lian, why don't you let anyone close?" She looked up at the glittering Seoul skyline, her voice barely a whisper. "Because people die. Because when I care, I fail." Ji-won turned to her, his gaze unwavering. "Then let me care for you. Let me protect you for once." For the first time, she didn't turn away. The secret behind the attacks. But happiness in a drama never lasts long. New threats emerged. Messages began appearing. Security cameras caught unfamiliar faces. Ji-won's company files were hacked. And every danger seemed aimed not at him, but at her. Past shadows Lian had tried to escape were resurfacing. A former commander, once her mentor, had turned into a corrupt mercenary leader. Years ago, Lian had exposed him, destroying his power. Now he wanted revenge, and Ji-won was simply leverage. Lian made a painful choice. She resigned, not because she wanted to leave, but because staying would put Ji-won in danger. But Ji-won refused to accept it. The confession that shattered her armor. He chased after her in the rain, grabbing her arm before she stepped into a taxi. You can't leave, he said, breathless. You don't understand, Lien replied, her voice breaking for the first time. I do, he insisted. No, G1, if I stay, you'll die. He shook his head, water dripping down his face. I'd rather face danger with you than be safe without you. Lien froze. Her strength, her training, her walls, everything collapsed under the weight of those words. He cupped her face gently. I love you, Zhao Lien. Not as my bodyguard, but as the strongest, bravest woman I've ever known. Her eyes filled with tears she never allowed herself to shed. G1, she whispered, I was trained to fight armies, but I was never trained for this. Then she finally said the words she'd buried for years. I love you too. The final confrontation. The enemy struck soon after. On a remote coastal warehouse, Lien's old base, they confronted the mercenary leader. G1 insisted on going with her, even though she begged him not to. Lien fought like a storm. Swift, fierce, unstoppable. G1 helped the only way he could. By disabling security barriers, calling police, sending live evidence of the commander's crimes to authorities. When the commander grabbed G1 and pointed a gun at his chest, Lien's heart nearly stopped. Drop your weapon, he taunted. Or he dies. Her hands trembled. She had failed once before. She couldn't fail again. G1 looked at her, calm despite the danger. Lien, trust yourself. And she did. With lightning precision, she used a hidden ankle knife, threw it across the room, and struck the commander's wrist. G1 broke free, police stormed the area, and the man who haunted her past was finally arrested. She collapsed into G1's arms, shaking. It's over, he whispered. You're free now. No, she whispered, clinging to him. I'm home now. Epilogue. Love stronger than fear. 6 months later, Skycore Tower had new security systems, and a new head of personal protection, Commander Zhao Lien, respected worldwide. But she was no longer cold. No longer alone. Every morning, G1 brought her jasmine tea. And every evening, they watched the city lights together, fingers intertwined, two souls who had saved each other in different ways. She had guarded his body. He had healed her heart. And in each other, they found a love stronger than fear.